Do you not like where you currently live? Because whether you're bored of the small town you grew up in or sick and tired of the stressful big city grind, a medium-sized city might be the perfect place for you. I mean, mid-sized cities are much more exciting than their smaller counterparts with plenty of big city amenities, but they also lack a lot of the problems that most big cities have. So for many Americans, they're the perfect balance. Now, of course, small cities are also incredibly popular, especially with working from home becoming the norm. So if these places are still too big for you, let's hit 5,000 likes and I'll make a video on the 10 best small cities for 2021. Speaking of which, since there's no definitive way to determine a city's true size, the criteria that we've been using is big cities have metro populations over 3 million residents, medium-sized cities have metro populations between 1.5 to 3 million, and then small cities have a metro population between 500,000 and 1.5 million. And we ranked each place according to their economy, safety, cost of living, schools, amenities, and overall quality of life. These are the top 10 best medium cities to live in for 2021. Number 10, Sacramento, California. Sacramento often gets overlooked for the bigger and more exciting West Coast cities, but even though it's a bit smaller, California's capital still has a ton to offer with a newly revitalized downtown area, some of the best farm-to-table restaurants, and lots of history, art, museums, conventions, farmers markets, parks, and fun bars throughout the many neighborhoods. Plus, it's the cheapest major West Coast city. Of course, cheap for California is still pretty expensive compared to the rest of the country though, with high taxes and a median home value of $417,000. But since Sacramento's in California, it also means there are plenty of good jobs, with wages having increased by 12.4% over the past 3 years to a median household income of $77,000, which makes Sacktown one of the best places in the state to live and save money. And it's also a great place to raise a family, as there's amazing weather, crime is relatively low, and the city is centrally located to so much beautiful nature. Being only a 90-minute drive to the ocean or San Francisco, and less than 2 hours to the mountains in Lake Tahoe. Number 9, San Antonio, Texas. San Antonio is technically the 7th largest city by population, with 1.58 million people living in the city limits, but that's mostly just due to how spread out the city is, as it's incredibly suburban, and even San Antonians will tell you, this is a small town at heart. The residents are genuinely kind and take the time to stop and talk, which is why the crime rate that's more than double the national average is quite surprising. It isn't stopping people from moving here, however, as the metro population continues to grow by 1.5% each year, most likely due to the great schools, weather, and affordability, with a median home value of just $208,000, in addition to there being no state income tax. But speaking of income, the median household income here is only $62,300, which is well below both the Texas and national average. Wages did increase by 6.74% last year, though, so hopefully that evens out soon. And while San Antonio certainly isn't the most exciting city, it does still have a ton of big city amenities, including amusement parks, a zoo, great Tex-Mex, fun nightlife, NBA basketball, intriguing history such as the Alamo, and of course, the Riverwalk. Number 8. Jacksonville, Florida. If you thought San Antonio was spread out, just wait until you see Jacksonville. The city limits span 875 square miles, making it the largest city by total area in the contiguous United States. And the metro area is spread out even further. The urban sprawl makes Jacksonville feel less like a true city and more just a collection of many small cities and towns. But that just gives it more space to operate the largest urban park system in the country. Not to mention, Jacksonville is close to so many beautiful beaches and has amazing seafood, fun museums, and a thriving art scene. The main draw to the city, however, is affordability and jobs. While most other Florida cities usually have low wages and aren't exactly cheap anymore, Jacksonville's median household income of $66,000 grew by 7.5% just this past year, and the median home value is still just $221,000. The unemployment rate is also a staggeringly low 3.7%, and did I mention there's no state income tax? Number 7, San Jose, California. While Jacksonville has great job opportunities for Florida, San Jose has the best job opportunities in the country, with the median household income of $131,000 being nearly double the national average.
But from here to there, high wages don't matter if a place is ridiculously expensive.
And sure, it is kind of ironic how what was once just sprawling farmland is now one of the most sought after and expensive housing markets, with the median home value being a whopping $1.163 million. But considering that the poverty rate of 8.7% is the lowest of any major city, I'd say most residents are doing just fine, especially since wages have grown by nearly 12% over the past 3 years. But while the jobs are great, they're also pretty much the only thing this city offers. Sure, there are some restaurants and nightlife in Santana Row, Campbell, and the small downtown area, but if you're looking for real fun or culture, you'll need to wait in terrible traffic on your way to either Oakland or San Francisco. San Jose is a great place for families though, as there's basically no crime, the weather's nice year-round, and while the public school system is terrible, the private schools are some of the best. Number 6, Columbus, Ohio. While most of the Rust Belt has been really struggling, with cities such as Cleveland or Detroit having poverty rates well over 30%, Columbus is thriving. There are tons of new developments, and the job market is among the fastest growing in the nation, with an incredibly diverse economy and strong startup scene, leading to a median household income of $67,200 and an unemployment rate of just 5.4%. And despite the nationwide housing shortage, Columbus still has plenty of affordable homes available, with a median home cost of just $197,000, making it one of the best bang for your buck cities, especially since there's so much to do with an excellent art scene, top-notch museums, fun nightlife, professional and college sports, and incredible food. There are seriously so many fun and unique neighborhoods here, each with their own culture and cuisine, such as the Short North Arts District, Uptown, and German Village. But Columbus isn't just for the younger crowd. It's also good for families, with above average schools, low crime, friendly residents, and beautiful parks and nature preserves. Oh yeah, and there's basically no traffic. Number 5, Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville has been one of the fastest growing cities over the past decade, with the metro population increasing by 17% since 2010. And as the population continues to rise, so does the cost of living. The median home value of $327,000 has more than doubled over the past 8 years, and you can expect to pay double that if you want to live close to the downtown areas where most of the action is. Thankfully though, the economy is also booming, with the unemployment rate at just 4% and the median household income having grown by nearly 10% over the past 3 years to $70,300. Add in the fact that there's no state income tax, and the cost of living's actually fairly reasonable. But just because Nashvilleans work hard doesn't mean they don't know how to party. I mean, Music City's one of the top tourist destinations for a reason. There's great nightlife, tons of festivals, professional sports, fun galleries and shops, amazing barbecue, and live music is everywhere. But while Nashville has legit big city amenities, it also has many big city problems, like increasingly terrible traffic, crowds and wait times everywhere, awful public schools, and a violent crime rate that's 183% above the national average. But hey, at least it's not as dangerous as Memphis. Number 4, Portland, Oregon.
What? How did Portland make the list? The news says there's a homeless crisis, the liberals are rioting, and Antifa's lighting everything on fire.
Well, while the news's portrayal of Portland could easily be mistaken for some post-apocalyptic thriller, Portland's metro population still continues to grow by 0.75% annually, and the housing market is so hot that you can't even find a house here without like 30 offers on it that goes for 20% above asking price. Why are so many people eager to move to a supposed lawless, rundown, and dangerous city, you might wonder? Well, because most of what the news says about the place just isn't true. Sure, there were riots, and you will see plenty of boarded up buildings downtown, but a lot of it was overblown, as the city as a whole is actually pretty safe for its size. And most of the issues are only on the west side. Real Portland is when you cross the Willamette River into the east side, where there's an abundance of cute, diverse, character-filled neighborhoods featuring quirky shops, live music, art galleries, and amazing local food, coffee, and beer. In fact, Portland's been rated the #1 foodie city for many years running now. And while it is pretty expensive with a median home price of $520 grand, that's actually really cheap compared to most other West Coast cities, especially when you consider all the great job opportunities leading to a median household income of $79,000. Add in good walkability, bikeability, and public transit, tons of community events and farmers markets, and gorgeous surrounding nature, and most residents love living here. Number 3, Charlotte, North Carolina. Even though its population might not technically suggest it yet, Charlotte has the economy of a big city. With 9 Fortune 500 companies headquartered here, the second largest banking sector in the US, and the median household income of $66,400 increasing by 5.5% annually, it makes sense that so many people want to move here, with the metro population increasing by 1.64% each year. Especially since the median home value is just $290 grand. And whether you're a young professional trying to jumpstart your career or looking for a good place to raise a family, Charlotte has it all, from quiet suburbs to a bustling downtown scene. Although it's technically called Uptown here, which is kind of fitting as the city really is up and coming. Sure, there are a few dangerous parts you'll want to avoid, but for the most part, Charlotte is a clean and safe city with wonderful food, hip nightlife, fun museums, tons of art, professional sports, so much greenery, and incredibly friendly residents. Number 2, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Wait a sec! Pittsburgh loses population every year! If it's such a great place to live, then why do more people move out than in?
Well, I think that just goes to show how underrated this city really is. First of all, Pittsburgh is insanely affordable with a median home value of just $204,000. And while wages still aren't the best with a median household income of $63,000, there's still more than enough, and the incredibly diverse job market with tons of new startups is growing fast. But jobs aside, this is a really cool city. Pittsburgh features so many historic and charming neighborhoods, each with their own distinct character and beautiful architecture reminiscent of a different part of Europe. And not only are the buildings beautiful, the surrounding nature is as well. With so many stunning rivers, hills, and forests right in your backyard, Pittsburgh is home to all sorts of outdoor recreation and has one of the most picturesque backdrops of any city. And when you consider the thriving restaurant scene, fun bars and clubs, great colleges and universities, professional sports teams, good public transportation, and some of the best museums in the country, Pittsburgh really punches above its weight. The only real con is the dreary weather with just 160 sunny days a year, but then again, that's also why the nature is so lush. Now before we get to number 1, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below what you think the best medium city is. But without further ado, number 1. Austin, Texas. I know, shocking, right? But yes, with an incredibly low crime rate, extremely good public schooling system, and one of the best economies in the nation with a median household income of $81,000, Austin is yet again the best mid-sized city to live in the US. And with no state income tax, great weather, a really good foodie scene, tons of fun festivals, amazing nightlife, and live music literally everywhere, it's no surprise that Austin's been the fastest growing city for an entire decade now. Of course, all these new residents also mean the cost of living continues to rise, but the median home cost of $499 grand is still actually relatively reasonable considering all that this city offers. Austin is not just the best medium city to live in for 2021, it might also be the best city of any size in the United States.